Hey everybody, Rob from Karma Comic Chameleon coming at you with a couple of entitled parent stories. First one, entitled Aunt Ruins My Family. Let's jump right in. So this is my very first post, but I've lurked on this subreddit with my other account. To start off, this is about my maternal uncle's wife and her sweet adorable kids. This is all on my mother's side of the family. She has a lot of siblings, but she grew up really close to Alex and they kept a close relationship through the years. Me and my mother live abroad, and we don't really get to see our extended family that often, maybe every 2 years, but my mother and Alex used to talk every day and call each other weekly. Hannah married Alex in 2014, and they now have 2 daughters, 5 and 2. Since they married, they moved into a house built by my maternal grandparents across the street from them. Their house was also located across the street from Mia and Adam and their 5 children, the youngest being Jenny, 5. Because they lived so close to each other, and also close to another one of my uncles and his family, the families were naturally close as well. Cooking together at my grandparents', hanging out in the big courtyard owned by my grandparents, and the kids would go over to each other's places all the time and play. Basically, it was like one big family, and all the children had multiple parents. This all started with an incident that happened 1.5 years ago. Sarah had gone over to Jenny's house to play with her. Both girls were 3.5, 4 at the time, and they got into a fight. Sarah ended up smacking Jenny, and Jenny started crying. Mia heard them from the room next door and went to see what was happening. The girls started crying and talking over each other, but Jenny's older brother, 11, saw what happened and told Mia. Mia ended up sending each girl to a bedroom for a timeout after talking to them about this is not how we treat family. She also went on to talk to each girl individually, telling Sarah that hitting Jenny is completely unacceptable and that now she needed to go home. Sarah did not like being told to go home, so she threw a fit. Mia ended up phoning Hannah to come and get her. When Hannah came, she quietly took her daughter with her and left without saying much. The next day, Alex called Adam and started talking to him loudly about how Hannah came home upset, saying that Mia treated her daughter like some random stranger and how she now knows that the family doesn't like her daughter. Adam was very surprised to say the least and told Alex what really happened. Alex didn't really seem to care and took his wife's side. Now, my mother and all of her sisters have a group chat where they catch up, and this incident made its way in there. My aunts were mad, like properly mad at Hannah. We found out that the reason Hannah got so upset was that Mia had treated her daughter as one of her own children, instead of treating her like a guest that can't do anything wrong. My mother stayed neutral in this whole situation because she lives abroad, but her sisters decided to see Hannah and talk to her about why she lashed out. When they went to my grandparents' house, Hannah was already there, getting cozy with my grandma. She had already told my grandma her version of the story. She told my grandma that all the sisters had hated her from the start, excluded her from their very private group chat, which bear in mind was only for the sisters, and how they treat her kids like lesser beings, how they make their kids help out when they go over to their uncles' houses, picking up toys after playing, and how she is being constantly bullied by them. This is all a load of BS, but my grandma believed her and took her side. Now, 6 months later, me and my parents went in for our bi-yearly visit, and we were met with a rather hostile environment. My aunts and uncles used to meet up at least once a month for a barbecue or at-home cooking at my grandparents' house. We found out that they haven't even seen each other in 4 months. This family used to be really tight, and now we find out they can't even talk to each other. I decided to stay at my grandparents' house for our trip, and my parents stayed at our apartment. We rent it out when we aren't visiting. The first thing Hannah did was try to badmouth all my aunts and uncles to me. She kept telling me they have it out for her, how they didn't want her to marry their brother, how ever since she came into the family they have treated her kids as lesser beings. Now, obviously I didn't buy anything she told me, because my aunts are the most loving people on the planet, and I've heard them only say good about her. Also, my aunts tend to treat the cousins like their own kids, be it punishments, rewards, trips, and even picking up and dropping off. I just nodded because I wanted to stay neutral as well. Fast forward 2 weeks later, and we had everyone over at my grandparents to celebrate my brother's birthday. It's tense to say the least, but you can see that everyone is trying to put everything behind to celebrate. After cake, the younger kids being put to bed at my grandparents', The older kids and the adults sit. The conversation is loaded with tension, and Hannah is sitting beside my grandmother with a grin on her face whenever my grandma hushes one of her kids. She is still very much in a mom mode. After dinner and everything being done, most of my aunts have left to go home, and so did two of my uncles, Adam and Alex, and their wives and kids stayed to continue the evening. My grandparents went to bed, and it was only me and my mom from our family left. The discussion unfortunately turned to the events that had started this whole thing. They seem to have had this bottled up for a very long time, because Hannah started screaming, accusing Mia of mistreating and scarring her child. Mia calmly telling her that she loves Sarah as one of her own, and she was just teaching her not to hit. Hannah starts screaming and going off on how Mia is saying she is an unfit mother and can't raise her kids properly. Alex is agreeing with his wife, going off on Adam, telling him he should control his wife, referring to Mia. This was the last straw for my mother. She stood up and told Alex that he was being an entitled asshole and that Hannah was even worse. She goes on to say that even though their kids had resolved their issue months ago, the parents are acting like actual kids. She told Hannah to take her entitled ass back home and to learn to resolve issues like adults instead of children. Hannah started screaming at my mom, telling her how even though she says she is neutral, she has obviously picked a side. She told my mom that my mother never liked her and that my mother hates her kids and that my mother should just stop talking to Alex. My mom got really upset, mostly because she adores her kids and would literally take a bullet for them. She knew that Hannah had enough power over Alex to make sure they never spoke again. That night ended bitterly, with everyone going to their own houses and us leaving, already scheduled, 3 days later. Now it's been 1 year since we last saw everyone. My mom hasn't talked to her brother a single time since, not on birthday, holidays, or important events. Her sisters have told her how Alex and Hannah have completely shut themselves off from the rest of the family, only going to see the grandparents. The kids are no longer allowed to see each other, and they are, to say the least, devastated. Even though they fought, they were like sisters. My mom has decided until this issue is resolved, she really doesn't want to visit them. My once tight, close family has become like strangers to each other, and it really hurts me because in my culture, I'm not allowed to tell an adult related to me off, so I just had to stand there and watch my family fall apart. It seems pretty obvious here that the problem lies with Hannah herself. I don't think everybody dislikes Hannah. I think Hannah dislikes the family, as was mentioned in one of the comments on this post. The ones who really lose out in this situation though are the kids who were getting along fine and just had a little argument. I'm sure they'd love to play together again. On to our second story. My daughter is thirsty, give her your Fanta that you paid for, even though you can get free water. Let's jump right in. So I was on a 5-hour flight home from a holiday, and you know what it's like. Airports and planes make nice people grumpy and grumpy people grumpier. They also make entitled people more entitled. First thing that happens is at the very beginning when boarding, Zoe is about 8 years old and whining that the line isn't moving fast enough. And sure enough, I'm the lucky person that has to sit next to Karen and Zoe. Mark sits across the aisle, I am in the window, and Zoe once again starts whining. Guess what? She wants to sit at the window. Mark tells her to be quiet and that she can't sit by the window because there's someone sitting there. Me. Mark seems like a nice and decent guy. Honestly, I feel bad for him, but I decided to just tell him she could sit there and I'll sit on the aisle. Zoe thanks me after her dad forced her to, and all is well. Alright, so now to the interesting part. 1.5 hours into the flight attendant comes around with drinks. I order a Fanta. Next to me is Karen and her kid. Karen in the middle. Zoe wants a Fanta too. Karen orders the Fanta and is about to pay with card. Then this happens. I'm sorry ma'am, but we only accept cash here. I don't have any cash. I'm sorry, but we don't have a card machine. We are literally unable to accept card payment. Alright. Hey Mark, do you have cash? No, sorry. Well, you're going to have to let me pay by card or give me the drink for free. Almost screaming, Mom, I'm thirsty. I want my Fanta. Look, ma'am, we can offer you a free water if your daughter is thirsty. I want Fanta. By now, the whole aircraft is staring at them. But if I give you a free Fanta, everyone is going to start asking for free sodas, and I can't do that. But no one has to know. Ma'am, the whole aircraft is looking at you. I don't care. Can't you see that she is thirsty and wants a drink? Honey, calm down. Didn't you hear? They have free water. I'm sorry, miss. Just get her a water. But I want a Fanta! Honestly, if Zoe hadn't whined, loudly whined for the past 2 hours about not having enough leg space and being bored, I would have bought her a Fanta, but definitely not now. Anyways, I reached down to my bag to get my noise-canceling headphones because Zoe is seriously getting on my nerves. While I do, the flight attendant leaves and Karen f***ing grabs my drink and hands it to Zoe. Here, honey. Here you go. Yay, thank you. Ma'am, that's my drink. I paid for that and I want it back. No, you can have the water or simply buy another one. What? Excuse me? Don't you dare use that kind of language in front of my baby. What the f***? Your baby is drinking the drink I f***ing paid for. Karen is turning red while a flight attendant is coming over now and the whole f***ing plane is staring at us. Is everything okay? No, this b*** stole the drink I paid for and gave it to her daughter. But she is thirsty and deserves it way more. She has a glass of water. What she needs is a f***ing reality check. Zoe is f***ing drinking my Fanta by now, and I'm boiling with anger. First I offer that b*** my seat, then she whines for 2 hours straight, and now she's drinking my drink? Miss, we will bring you a new drink, and if you want, we can switch your seat. Thank you so much, and yes, I would love a new seat. She leaves to get me a new drink and comes back 10 minutes later. As the plane is very full, the only seat left is first class, if that's okay with you. Of course that's okay. I will help you get your stuff there, and your drink will get there soon. If you want, we can contact the local police at the plane destination and you can press charges for theft. Karen looks terrified at the mention of police. Thank you very much, but contacting the police really won't be necessary. It's only a drink after all. I left to go to my first class seat and already gave the airline a very good review for the amazing service. As I'm leaving, I can already hear Zoe saying, "But I want to be in first class too." Anybody else notice there's been a huge influx of airplane stories where an entitled parent wants to take something from somebody else on the plane? I guess one story brings up memories for other people as well. I'd like to take a moment to thank our channel members for supporting the channel: Carol Mello, DaijiB1791, Neil Beresford, Math Cowboy, Canadian Jen, and Casey B. I appreciate all of you. You can become a channel member as well by clicking the join button down below, getting a special icon beside your name in the comments, and some custom emotes. Once again, this is Rob from Karma Comic Chameleon. I want to thank you for watching. If you liked what you saw, remember to hit the subscribe button, like, and share the video with your friends. Also, make sure you follow the link in the description to give the original authors of these stories an upvote on Reddit itself.